Если проблемы с написанием на английском языке, вы можете написать на русском, я переведу впоследствии. Большое спасибо.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
I'm back here. So, and now I have to load my program. One moment. Yesterday it was okay with me because on the bottom right I had a thing. Okay, maybe over there. Speaker. Gallery. I don't see any place where I can upload my presentation.
You can just open that on your laptop and just share screen. We will see everything you have on your
right.
screen.
Okay, let's go. One moment.
Okay. One question. Maybe you can turn on your camera so we will see you. If it's not a problem.
It is not a problem. Then where can I do that?
On the left corner, on the bottom, you have video, I guess.
No, I don't see anything here, but I'm in full screen, so I quit. I know how it functions. One moment. Mute. I see it. I was full screen, so it disappeared. So.
Okay, nice. We can see you. Okay, great.
Okay, I have to do this because I have two monitors, so you will see the whole time my right side. Right? Okay. Now let's start. I would presume one moment. Here we are.
Please share screen.
All right. And I have to go back. Share screen, yes. What do I have to do now? Oh, share.
Yes, green.
Okay, yeah, I see it. I'm used to work with another program, so that's the problem I have. Now, let's start now. It's better now?
Yeah, great. We can see. Great.
Well, I will do some, first of all, dear friends, a warm hello from the Netherlands. And I will host you today and present a short survey of what's happening in the Dutch architecture in the past and in the future. And nobody, I think few will know where the Netherlands is situated, and you see here the red arrow, and it points to the Netherlands, from which I present now. And our country borders to Germany, Belgium, and the North Sea, with much water, as you will understand hereafter. Bordering a sea means that we have to protect ourselves against the sea and storms. And we are protected by vulnerable dunes at the coastline on the left side of the picture, artificial inland dikes and stormwater barriers. The Netherlands are a delta country. The western part of the Netherlands is swampy with many inland seas, rivers and canals. In case of a dike or dune breakdown, 50% of the country will be flooded. And these areas are marked in a dark color in the picture, as you see that. So, in the picture below, and on the picture below shows what it means living below water level. And you can see the water level is much higher than the buildings and the dwellings below. How low, will you ask? Now, the international airport of Schiphol is 7 meters below sea level. So you will understand when the dikes and the dunes will break through, we have wet feet. It's a green country as well, with much water around. This is the town of Naarden, a medieval little town, still with its former defense structure. The meaning of the water barrier is to keep the enemy away from easily produce floating houses, as you see here below in the picture. I think it's not such a good idea for how to leave or return to the houses for or from work. And not to forget the pollution when cars and other machines are being flooded. Speaking of floating houses, in Rotterdam, a new city district is in preparation. This district, and it's about thousands of dwellings and offices, will float, which means it will move up and down with the tides every 6 hours. And the arrow points to the district that is being built in one of the many Rotterdam harbor basins. The port of Rotterdam was originally located in the center of the city of Rotterdam. But because of air pollution and the growing size of cargo ships, the port was moved to the North Sea. Only new land had to be withdrawn from it, and see the result here. And once people said, God shaped the world, but the Dutch the land. Now we look for some examples of the Dutch historical architecture. Amsterdam city nowadays is an open-air museum because Amsterdam Canal District is on the UNESCO's World Heritage List. These old buildings date from the 17th and the 18th century when the Dutch were a world power and became very, very rich. These dwellings were built by the rich merchants. The building of the nowadays World Museum on the top was built in 1851, and the villa below, designed by fictionalist architects Gerrit Willem Baars and L. Stokla in 1938. Both are in Rotterdam to be seen as well. Between those preceding projects, the famous famous Amsterdam School architecture delivered in the 1920s, the high-quality social housing project in the Sparendammer buurt in Amsterdam. It was for that period very excellent dwellings for the poor workers, small but full comfort compared to the devastating situation in other labor quarters at that time. The facades are sculptures with bricks, which makes Amsterdam school architecture so famous and admired. Remember, it is built around 1920s as a social housing architecture stimulated by the Dutch government and local administrations. Opposite to the Amsterdam school architectural style, a modern architecture was erected in Utrecht, which is, by the way, my place of birth. This is the world-famous Rietveld Schröder house, dated 1930, of the Dutch architect Gerrit Rietveld. Yes, and then this. The Scheepvaarthuis in Amsterdam is one of my favorite architectural examples. It was erected in 1913 until 1916. It's not only because of its incredible sculptured masonry, but also because of the very intelligent detailing of the masonry. After more than 100 years, the facade does not show any disturbing soiling, which is a quality many nowadays architects can only dream of. The architect was an unknown young person, Jo van der Meij. The other Amsterdam school architects, Michel de Klerk and Piet Kramer, were recruited for this project. In addition, a large group of artists contributed to the numerous decorations of both the exterior and interior of the building. At closer look, it looks like a strategical approach of facade detailing to prevent soiling. Look at the positions of the facade masonry and how clean the surface still is. Horizontal layer bricks become darker, whilst the vertical parts become washed by runoff rainwater, and that makes the difference. Another favorite project of mine is the world-famous TBC Sanatorium Hospital Zonnestraal in Hilversum, which is built in 1928, and it was not meant for the rich. The complex was intended for diamond polishers who had contracted tuberculosis. It was designed by the architect Jan Duiker, both modernist, in collaboration with Bernard Bijvoet and Jan Gerco Wiebenga. Here are some old and new housing projects. On top, the almost 100-year-old social housing project in Rotterdam called the Kievoek from the Dutch architect J.G.P. Oud. It was realized during 1928 and 1930. And it is still seen as a favorite housing to live in nowadays. Below, a street of a so-called Vinex district built in 2003. A rational architecture and city planning without trees. Venus projects are extensions of cities of about 200,000 houses and apartments, and that means a mass production. And this kind of standard architecture for family rental houses and many times repeated all over the country since 1960. Big glasses, big windows, much of light in the interior was the positive part of it, and it was a cheap rent that we have to pay for it. And to preserve historical warehouses from demolition, many of them have been transformed into rental apartment complexes. This is an art of sustainability, reusing buildings which are hundreds of years old. So now irrational waste of materials and building an urban quality. Some Dutch architects do not follow trends in architectural design. They follow their own path. This is a community housing in Den Bosch, which was built in 1984, not by an architect, but by the architect and sculptor Dries Krijkamp. And then the Cube housing project is from the Dutch architect Piet Blom. The idea was inspired by the Kasbah architecture. The project was realized between 1982 and 84 in Rotterdam. And today it is a municipal monument. This head office of the Gasunie in Groningen is a design of the organic architects Albus and Van Huut. They avoid rectangular forms and perpendicular facades and inner walls as much as possible, as you can see. The interior is very interesting and worth a visit when you are in the Netherlands. Yet there are always quirky architects following their own architectural style. Here, one of the many ecological designs applying as much as natural products and materials and low energy solutions. And this is the head office of the European Space Organization, ESA-ESTEC, of the Dutch architect Aldo van Eyck. I contributed to the project as a team member, and it was a very nice period to make the details of such a project of this size. Aldo was an architect who continued to design until the building was completed, working out to the perfection. And he designed very interesting buildings as well, but it goes too far to show them all. Now some more common projects and some examples of common housing architecture and more individual projects. The column on the left are large projects, those on the right more individual developed projects. Top right is an Amsterdam canal project of mine. Bottom right shows individual family housing projects where the client and the architects were not restricted by rules. So every client has the opportunity to create his house in his own style. And then every year, the city of Almere organizes competitions for extensions of city quarters scale. Developers and architects were asked to develop high-quality living environments as an experimental project. Left a project, again, of Aldo van Eyck, I mentioned before. The dwellings are very interesting floor plans and fewer, better than the examples at the same quarter on the right. Eiburg is a new, the Isle of Eiburg is a new created island taken from a former inland sea. It was allowed to erect designs to own taste. This resulted, however, in a mix of good and poor architecture, sometimes ending in a messy street architecture as well. Not all the buildings fulfill the requirements for low energy and sustainability, unfortunately. Other architects have only one interest, and that is to be noticed. This is an extension archive building of Rotterdam Museum. The architects are MVRDV. I think you will know the office. It's a bowl of which the facade is cladded with reflective panels. And you can see at the woman who's walking below, the scale of the building is huge. A row of luxury apartment buildings in the Bosch with zinc and masonry facades. You see, it is a difficult discussion that's going on in the Netherlands and surrounding countries. Some architects are looking for attention and design this kind of devastating solutions that bring even an historical building down to a tiny volume. I don't know what you think of it, but I think it is awful what's happening here. It's not the quality of architecture one might hope. A mad hotel in Zaandam, an architect, Soeters, is one of the architects who follows his own style. Is this firm or just crazy? It is a nice building because these old tiny houses that made a huge hotel building are the old style historical buildings that were built, wooden houses in Zaandam and surroundings. Extreme does not always mean an integration into the urban spatial quality as well. This is another MVDR project for a cultural center in The Hague. That's such an example. It has a similar offensive character with some official buildings from the Soviet architecture characterizes. And I mean with this that I have good feelings with the Russian and Soviet architecture, so don't be angry with me, but this is really an offensive building. And then how is to live in sloped inner walls when you're as tall as I am. I'm always 2 meters high. And what's he doing here? Asking to be noticed? This is a very interesting project, however, designed by Austrian architects. This is the I building, a cinema and a movie museum at the A in Amsterdam. And the interior is of high quality. And that is a huge project. And it looks like a whale, isn't it? And then the next question. What's your opinion to what direction the architecture discipline has to go? This way? And what do you think? You can make up your mind yourself. Authorities sometimes make brutal decisions to demolish old buildings in a city center to create a 4-lane autoway through the city. Not in Amsterdam. In the 90s, old and young demonstrators protested to avoid this measure. Squatting movements have been organized to end the vacancy of many buildings in times of lack of housing possibilities, especially for young families. Finally, they won the street war with success. And many social housing projects of a human scale have been erected since then, whilst old buildings were transformed or renovated in social housing as well. Shipyards went down in Amsterdam and remain as isolated areas because of the polluted soil. What to do was the question at that time. The first dwellers were fine artists and sculptors, building their own workplaces within the old halls and other structures of the site. The remains of the shipyard became part of events, and in open areas arose sustainable restaurants built with remains of demolition of other buildings. The site became very, very popular to visit and enjoy all kinds of festivals and restaurants. Other polluted areas became occupied also by young people with the intention to purify the soil by plants. One of these initiatives is the Geuvel in Amsterdam, an experiment with permission of the municipality. Meanwhile, the plants did their job. The soiling became less and less. The poisoning was so severe at the beginning that it was necessary to build raised walkways and boats on the dry to live in. Thinking about urbanization is growing as well in our profession and society. City heat is a problem that occurs with compact built city centers with hard finishes for streets and squares. For people, it is not quite a healthy environment. The interest in greenery in urban environment becomes increasingly important in the Netherlands and in Europe as well. See the difference when an existing city quarter is changed into a green environment for recreation and local agricultural areas. It's not only trees in the streets that contribute to lower inner city temperature. Green roofs and facade greening contribute also to catch as much as dirt particles from motorized traffic and dust whirling around. And finally, it comes up that there is a huge number of square meters of roofs to cover with green. Urbanization delivers a huge problem. How to manage a livable environment for humans when cities become populated with over 20 million citizens? And which one of the two do you prefer to live in? That's the question. To limit agricultural misuse of the soil, especially here in the Netherlands, think of the soil pollution. Agricultural development with buildings is a recent development. This is a recent developed area in Amsterdam. Remark, the buildings here are apartment buildings, not quite a pleasant street quality. And I know where I'm talking about because I'm living nearby. People and increasingly also architects become aware of the poor quality and prefer the organic and ecological solutions, as you can see in the other pictures. And this goes without saying. The problem is, however, the large scale of urban development. And now, since not a long time ago, it is even possible to erect high-rise buildings from wood constructions. So there is still hope. However, citizens claim in many cities the streets back through occupying parking lots for greenery or use it as a terrace. And on a bigger scale, experimental projects all over the Netherlands on energy zero, waste reuse and waste water reuse issues. The project here is called the Living Machine, in which an halified water basin purifies wastewater. From urine, phosphates are being extracted for improving the soil in a vegetable garden. Waste and other rest materials in a biomass installation produce gas for the dwellers. This site is almost self-supporting, autarkic. Timber constructions and green gardens and playgrounds for children with ponds create a wonderful and human-friendly living surroundings. And I think that's a pity, but when we have cities of 20 million inhabitants, then you can ask whether these kind of projects are useful or possible. On energy issues, of course, the photovoltaic cells and solar boilers are the most common energy reducing techniques. Here an example of a Dutch concept design, and it is again for a floating peninsula. The urban planning orientation is based on the optimum solar gain objectives. Architecture and urban planning with maximum solar energy gains, and it is then very profitable for all the dwellers. However, heating with wood is not that sustainable in the end. Biomass production is still in progress. The discussion now is whether heat and cold storage deep in the soil is a better alternative. But it is a very expensive way to reduce energy consumption. In fact, the production of biogas requires a very simple installation and method, even suitable for poor regions, villages without sufficient gas delivery, for its proven old method. Another development is the smart cities, which are supposed to be self-supporting on all levels. Heat remains of industry and agriculture can be distributed to other buildings, whilst the heat remains of the latter will help to reduce the heat production of the housing collectivity, and on it goes. Architectural education should take the requirements for zero energy development into account. Here is a survey of the main aspects that deserve much attention to improve the quality of the built environment. Human-oriented must be always in focus with architects and urban planners when designing. And one of the first necessity is the right of sunlight, essential for healthy dwellings since sunlight kills bad species. So that was my presentation for now. I hope it was interesting for you, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Meyers.
Yeah.
I think I will ask our guest if they have some questions for you. Please wait a moment. Дорогие друзья, может быть, у вас есть вопросы касательно лекции. Если есть проблемы с тем, чтобы задать их на английском языке, вы можете написать их в чат, я их переведу.
How can I make my screen full? Can you tell me, please?
Do you want to make it for the whole screen?
Yes, I can. I don't know. I optimize video clip. No. Where do I have a button to make my screen full screen? I've no a small bulk of a line in the top.
It's on the left side.
Somebody.
Pardon?
On the left side.
And that's. I see only mute, stop video.
Oh no! If you see it in the full screen in your laptop, we will see that in the full screen also. So
I don't
the
see
same
anything.
as you.
Only this button line. Have a quick record reactions. Optimize video clip. Is optimized for video clip solution maybe?
I think you just need to expand the program itself on your laptop without touching Zoom, and it will expand in our.
I know how to do it, but anyway.
Maybe in view in your program, I guess it will be like that.
I don't see anything here, only these. Now, yeah, nevertheless, we can talk. Your screen. Okay. Stop sharing. New share. Oh, one moment.
I have one question.
Yes.
Can I ask you, what is your favorite book?
My favorite book?
Yeah.
You asked? It's hard to say because there are so many books that you can read, and yes, there is one, and that is focused on the human scale of designing a living environment, and Jane Jacobs. And it is written in the, I thought it was written in the 1980s, but it is still actual, especially with the growing cities, extensions of cities. So when you want to learn how people live and what is a good quality of a living environment, then I will ask you to read the book of Jane Jacobs.
She's a writer, yeah?
No,
Canada?
she is a sociologist and architect, and she's writing about urban design solutions and so. She's very interesting to read.
She's from Canada, yes? It's
yes,
something.
yes.
Yes?
Yeah, yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have one question in Russian. Let me translate it.
Yeah.
Скажите, Скажите, пожалуйста, строят в Нидерландах многоэтажные деревянные дома? So there is a question. Can you tell us if there is any multi-level housing in Netherlands that made from the wood structures?
Yes, I thought it was 2 years ago. There was a complete timber construction built in Amsterdam for housing and offices. Yes, and they goes to 6 floors, and it is still in construction. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And in Finland or in Sweden, I don't know, I cannot remember the country, but they are trying to erect a high-rise building in complete wood construction. And maybe you can look at the website Design. I will tick it. Yes.
Yes, Design, we
But
can see.
and when you go to the website, then you can look around in the former publications. So there's lots of information about what's happening on this matter in the whole Europe and in the world, of course.
Okay, thank you for the nice source.
Yes, okay.
We already translated it for our guests. Okay, maybe they will have some more questions. I think they have one. Yes, maybe you can see it in the chat. Do you think it's possible to use green roofs in the climatic conditions of Russia as in the Netherlands?
What makes a difference is the question?
Yeah, maybe. I think in that case.
Now, anyway, there's always better to have green roofs because, especially even that we are a country with lots of water, our ground water levels are very low. So we need lots of rain to make the low stand of the groundwater much higher. So it is better to catch the water and to infiltrate the soil. And one of the aspects of that is then when you have lots of water, it is another side of the climate change. One moment, I have to be more clear. There are 2 aspects on the matter. First, the waste of water and groundwater levels that are lowering. In the meantime, we have lots of rain now since the climate is going in the wrong way. So even we in the Netherlands have lots of rain showers and we have to collect that. And otherwise we will be flooded. So our green roofs delay the runoff of rainwater. So we have time to discharge this excess of rain water that's coming down. And in the meantime, green roofs enhance, especially in dense city centers, the heat island effect. So that is one point. And another point of advantage of green roofs is that it collects all kind of dirt from cars, traffic, motorized traffic, and just dust that is swirling and whirling around. So for Russia, I have been in Russia. It is hard to say, but I think the same goes for cities as Novosibirsk, probably, and as well as for Moscow, as it is here for Amsterdam. So I think it is always better to have those roofs. And there is a third aspect on green roofs, especially in hot areas, and that is Novosibirsk in summertime. Then a green roof will lower the inner temperature, dus the temperature in the top rooms below the roof, you know. Yeah. You. Hello.
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 Hi.
What's happening here? Because hello. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Maybe technical problem, maybe.
I think it is, yes, yeah.
Я так поняла, мы потеряли своего ведущего, да? Вот.
Hello.
She was thrown out from the Zoom.
Пойму, в чем дело.
Yes, I think Shahnaz have some problems with connection.
Hello.
We all are waiting, Mr. Mears.
I understand. Is
Yes.
that Galina talking now? No.
Hello, I have one question.
Yes.
Is it difficult to work in the field of energy saving development in the Netherlands?
One moment, can you repeat, because the connection is not that good to understand you well. Repeat the question, please.
Is it difficult to work in the field of energy saving development in the Netherlands?
No, it's not at all, because there is a huge interest on all levels, from the government till architects, to develop zero energy houses. And that is also the all kinds of experimental projects are initiated by the government and by investors, for instance.
Okay, thank you. It's interesting.
Yes, but what are you doing yourself in your country on behalf of energy reducing technologies? Hello?
For now, I'm a student.
Yes, I understand. Hello? I can't hear you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Hello? Hello?
I have a
Sorry,
question.
Can I
internet.
ask you?
Sorry, internet doesn't work well at times.
Not so fun. Yeah.
Hello?
I have a question. What do you think about Netherlands urban design?
What do you mean with the question? How we see ourselves doing the urban design projects, for instance?
Yes.
There is an interest here in the Netherlands, but no, one moment. We have to build every year 300,000 dwellings, yes? And that means that these are huge projects. Do you understand me still? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Do you hear me?
We are here.
Yes, we are here.
Okay, because there was a lots of noise here in my ears. So we have to extend cities with huge numbers of dwellings and apartment buildings. So there is a little time, you can say, to pay much attention to the urban design of this scale. Still, there is an interest to think about the water management, for instance, which is very actual here in the Netherlands, as you understand now, hopefully. And for that, it is just production. So I'm not so happy with the developments that's happening now. Still, there are projects, and especially also in the city of Almere, of which I show you some experimental projects that is organized by the city every 4 years. Then there is lots of interest to think about sustainability, reuse of materials in new buildings, and of course energy and ecology, of course, yes. But not in the real regular extension projects of cities on the scale of 200,000 dwellings. Yeah. Hello?
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had some technical issues, so I came back.
Yeah.
Just maybe 1 or 2 more questions, and that's it.
Yes, I know.
If you're not heard.
Yeah, okay.
Окей, ребят, может быть, еще какие-то вопросы есть у участников?
Yes, I have question.
Так, секундочку, у нас в чате тут вопрос был. How is provided the construction of houses which are standing on water? Question from Maria.
Once more the question, please, because there is some noise in the background.
1 moment, please.
Yeah.
How is provided the construction of houses which are standing on water?
They are built on polystyrene blocks. So that is the way they can move up with the water. And you must understand, we have a large box of concrete. We fill it with polystyrene blocks, and then we build a house on it. You understand?
I think it's understandable for us. Thank you.
Otherwise, if you have questions, you may send me by mail. That goes for everyone, or maybe you can organize it, and then I can send some pictures of the questions that you pose, and I cannot illustrate, because otherwise it is very difficult to understand what I try to explain. Right?
Okay, so and we have actually one very connected to your answer. We have a question: where can we read your scientific works? So it's from question from our students, I guess.
Oh, that's a long time ago that I made a lot of projects, but I never organized or documented my projects. But I can send some examples of that. The most of the projects are in the Netherlands, and the others are built in Germany. But it were small projects, except and the buildings and the housing projects in Amsterdam. We made 4 of projects of over 100 dwellings each. Yes. And otherwise, I made lots of projects too, and I think that is a habit that will occur with many other colleagues. You make many designs that will not be built. You know, that is always a matter of success, whether you can build lots of your plans or most of them is my experience, and that of my colleagues will disappear in somewhere in the archive, you can say. But I spend most of my time in education as professor in architecture and urban design and in building technologies. So
Okay, thank you for your answer. It's very interesting. And of course, yes, it's about the balance between education and between your projects, of course.
Yeah.
So thank you for this honest answer.
Yeah.
And let me just check if we have some more. Okay, so I think about the contacts and all other additional information, I will send that to our students personally. So thank you for these answers.
Yes.
I have a question. Can I ask you?
Давайте, так, я думаю, что уже нужно будет потихонечку закругляться, поэтому давайте еще один, может быть, два вопроса, потому что уже достаточно долгое время у нас эта сессия вопросов-ответов длится. Мы вас слушаем.
Which program did you use, and what is your favorite program in your projects when you do?
That is AutoCAD. I'm normally using AutoCAD programs. And sometimes, how do you call it, other program? Sketch. To make quick sketch. Yeah, that's a quick design program.
It's SketchUp?
Yes, yeah, it is similar. Yes. SketchUp. Yeah.
Different.
But normally I'm not drawing with the computer, so young people are doing that.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting behind my desk and I'm just sketching, you know, it's more convenient.
If it's possible, may I ask also one question? Because
yes.
I saw here in your presentation you had a little part about agriculture
Yes.
in the cities.
Yes.
So actually, I'm very interested in this question. And can you give like your maybe personal opinion about this like new tendency in this like agriculture, maybe institutional or in urban, like inside of the city? Do you think it's like have a good perspectives, or maybe it's not very healthy in your opinion?
Now I can answer that is a necessity to develop some, let's say, agricultural high-rise buildings and small farmer production nearby. So we have to get rid of our long trips, the journeys that the food have to go from China to Europe or from Switzerland to Russia or whatever, you know. That is not good. We have to reduce the transportation exhaust, and that starts with having our production of all what is green nearby. And now we are planning areas where even on city districts level to reserve, to plan areas for vegetables, and so a little quarter can produce their own main products. That is probably here in the Netherlands an opportunity that we have, since we have a very good soil to grow vegetables and other things. So it is important to do it and to pay attention for city agriculture. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your answer. It was very interesting to know your opinion. So maybe it's okay to finish our session and masterclass.
It's time.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answers. Maybe some questions from our professors before we finish. Уважаемые друзья, мы, думаю, уже подходим к концу нашего сегодняшнего мастер-класса. Может быть, есть какие-то пожелания или вопросы на конец нашего мастер-класса, прежде чем мы закончим?
Я могу задать? Если можно. Можно, да? У меня есть вопрос.
Вопрос? Слушаю вас, да, но мы уже заканчиваем. Мы вас слушаем.
Hello?
There was a person who asked for one more question, but I think maybe she logged out because I can't listen, can hear her. Okay, so хорошо, тогда мы на этом, думаю, заканчиваем.
Да, можно Альфреда поприветствовать. Dear Alfred, I'm glad to see you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine here, and I miss Kazakhstan and Central Asia rather well. Yes. It was a nice time. I was staying with you, and I hope maybe next year we are able to travel again and meet each other at the festival, for instance.
Thank you. I think we will meet in future for right, and I'm glad to see you, and I want to say many congratulations for your election and good answer for question of our students.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the compliments. I will. Meanwhile, I will write you a mail privately down. All right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Goodbye.
All right. Goodbye, my dear. So. Hello.
See you next time.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much for your coming.
Right. And thank you for your invitation to allow me to.
Да, ну я просто благодарить, поприветствовать. Ну, да, у нас действительно уже время пришло прощаться с господином Мейерсом, но надеемся на будущие плодотворные встречи.
Okay, so we hope to see you more next time in maybe more lectures. Thank you so much for your coming.
All right.
And goodbye. I think
goodbye. Okay, до свидания.
До свидания.
Bye.
Goodbye, thank you.
Yo, bye.